Lynn, almost there. But I don't see anything from the petitioner. I don't know if I can search for his email here or not.
Sorry, gentlemen, late.
Oh, there we go. Shall we begin?
Yeah, we can. Okay. I would like to welcome everyone here today and our viewing audience to the September 26, 2019 meeting of the City of Davenport Zoning Board of Adjustment. Your participation in city government is appreciated and welcome. If you have a mobile device, please turn it off. It may interfere with the room electronics. My name is Jim Reistroffer, Chairman. To my immediate left is Tom Quinn. To my immediate right is Judith Lee, excuse me. And staff is Scott Coops. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is a 5-member judiciary board established by state law. We are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the city council to serve without compensation for a 5-year term. The board meets twice a month to hear appeals involving hardships from strict application of current zoning laws. We also grasp special uses and rules on administrative appeals. I'll wait till Lynn gets here. Is there any corrections to the meeting from our last meeting? No, okay. A motion for approval.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Is there any, I see there is no other old business, and we have some new business. Is the applicant here? Okay, great. I'm going to read the description of the case. Request HV 19-14 of the American Freight Furniture / Sign Now at 1010 East Kimberly Road for a hardship variance to exceed the size allowance for the front facade signage by 139 square feet with a 269 square feet front facade sign. Code allows for 130 square feet of size area on the front facade as the unit has 130 linear feet of building frontage. Section 17.12.060 I believe that's I.4 states, for a structure that contains multiple tenants, each tenant with exterior business facade area is permitted a total wall sign area of 1 square foot per linear foot of business frontage, or 40 square feet, whichever is greater, along their individual frontage. May I have the staff report?
Scott Copes, Community Planning. So as you stated, they're requesting a sign that's about double the size that's allowed. This is the location of the property on East Kimberly. You've got the Old Town Mall across the street. This is the old Dunham Sports, and Harbor Freight Tools are right next door. This is what the sign is proposed to look like. We sent out notices. We have not received any notices back either way. And our findings, as you probably read in your staff report that I gave you earlier, the request doesn't meet any of our requirements for meeting a hardship variance. So we have recommended for denial. If there's any questions, I'll open it to the board for questions.
Scott, I have a question. There's a sign there now on the building. Is that the new one or the old one?
My understanding it's a temporary sign. That's just a banner that's been put over top of the building. So
Okay.
I do. But they would still have part of that sign that's down by the road. that
right,
has
there is
all
the freestanding sign. In your staff report, it was the last page of the report. There was a photo. It shows a freestanding monument sign, and it's got a big for-lease sign over a big section of the sign. So, yeah, they would have space on that signage.
Sure. My name is Jeremy Collins with Signs Now, so I represent American Freight Furniture as I would be their vendor, or we would be their vendor. I guess while they understand the permissible size as far as square footage signage, with regard to setback off the road and with regard to the height of the current monument sign, when you come down the hill traveling westbound on Kimberly Road, that monument sign is really not that visible. They have space there currently now where there's a space on the very top. And I think, Scott, is there a picture of that in the file folder?
The monument sign was not included.
Okay, I didn't submit that, okay. I guess what I'm saying is the setback off the road is such that if we only allow them to have the permissible amount of square footage of signage, letter height is not going to be visible from the road. That's their current position, is they want to be visible from the road. While the monument sign is close to the road, the elevation of their signage is such that when you're driving, you're not looking up like this.
It's been years since this has been used, so I don't know that it's set up anymore to work. But I can pass this to the
Sure.
board.
Thank you. So I think that's why they're asking for double of what they're actually allowed. Thank you, sorry. So with regard to letter height in our business, for each inch of letter height, you get 10 feet of readable distance. So to prove our point, if you look at your license plate, 3-inch tall character, you read that just fine from about 30 feet away. You multiply that number times 3, it gets a little more difficult to read, but that's about the maximum viewing distance of a 3-inch tall character. So with regard to the letter height in the building, as far as the setback off the road, I apologize, I did not put a tape from the building to the road, but I mean, they're well in the vicinity of 300 to 400 feet away. So if we go back to what they're allowed to have, their position is their letter height is going to be pretty small to be visible from the road for a retail business like theirs. So that's why they're asking. I think their thought also is the Dunham's logo that was there, the D in Dunham's, the capital D that was in Dunham's is no bigger than what they're asking for moving forward.
I have a question. I have a question for Scott. If I understand right, however, we're to consider each case on its own merits, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Each case stands on its own. So if some other business had a hardship variance, that doesn't come into play. Or if other businesses don't have a variance, that doesn't come into play. It's each case on a case-by-case basis. With regard to the old code, the petitioner is correct. The old Dunham sign had a larger font sign, at least for the word Dunham's. Then they had some smaller font next to it. But and I believe the old code would have allowed for more correct. Let me state that again. It would have allowed for more building-mounted signage than what the current code does.
You know, the banner that you got now that's on the front of the building, are you requesting the same size as that?
It's actually smaller.
Okay. Because I go by there all the time, and
You see it pretty
I
well,
see it pretty
right?
well.
Right.
I see it pretty well, so it's a little bit smaller than that sign.
Correct. Thank you.
Does anybody in the audience want to speak on this matter? I guess seeing none. Does anyone in the audience want to speak opposed to this request? Seeing none. Applicant, do you have any final comments?
No, I think just on behalf of American Freight, I think they're asking, for some grace and compassion with the regard to their setback. And as Scott mentioned, understood, previous code would have allowed for that. And I think they're just looking at it as, well, hey, Dunham's had it, why can't we? It's the same building, the same setback, and really the same type of business. It's a retail business that needs to be seen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does the board have any discussion?
I'm just looking at the criteria for the hardship due to the topographic conditions. So, Scott, the language here is taken right out of code, right? And so the topographic restrictions must demonstrate exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape of a specific piece of property, or by reason of exceptional topographical conditions or other extraordinary or exceptional situations.
I don't know if that's directly from the code. That's based on what courts have ruled over time regarding hardship variances. It's some similar language to what was in the previous code, and we do have some language in our new code. I just don't have that.
That's all right. I just
So.
wanted to check. Thank you.
Any other board discussion? Okay. Well, I ask for a motion.
I make a motion that we accept staff recommendation to deny the hardship variance request.
Oh, yeah, we got to do it.
It's,
Yeah, just for point of reference, the board makes all the motions in affirmative, so that way, if something fails, it means it denies, and if something gets approved, it's approved. Otherwise, if you make a motion to deny and then it fails, that doesn't necessarily mean it's approved. So with all the motions are in the affirmative.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve staff recommendation. Is that more correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
no.
That's still no.
No.
Because our recommendation's for a die. So the motion would be a motion to recommend approval of the request.
request HV 19, okay. I move that we approve request HV 19-14.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is that a voice vote or?
That's a roll call vote. You have a chance for discussion if you want to discuss it before you vote.
Do I have any more further discussion on this?
No.
Okay. Seeing none, then ask for the roll.
I'm sorry, I didn't write down who made, so Lee, you did the first.
Yes.
And Quinn the second. Conklin,
No.
Quinn? Quinn? So no vote is for denial.
No.
Lee
No.
and Rice-Stropper.
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, with no other business, I call for a motion.
I move we adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?